What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Tonight, we're going to talk about the fires. We're going to talk about, of course, everything that is going on across the planet. We're going to talk about the declaration that the world has come up with to monitor us on the internet. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we have a, I guess you can call it good, because we're going to talk about a lot of crazy stuff today. So just a quick disclaimer, some of this is going to be alarming, and there is a ton of it. So just buckle up, and then if you are sensitive to anything that may stress you out, then this may not be the show for you. This is from a prepper's and a preparer's perspective. So a lot of the things that are going on in the world today, we look at it and we analyze it, and we look at what is possibly going to happen next. So remember that you can go to our website. If you're not getting notifications from any of the platforms we are live on, you can always go to marfooglenews.com, and you can actually find a full bibliography for every source and every piece of information that we show you here today. That way you know exactly where your information is coming from. Now, on top of that, you can also sign up for our web notifications, so make sure to head over there. Now, it is all easily organized by thumbnail, so you'll look for today's thumbnail, food, and then, of course, today, crispy situation. And then once you click on that, you will see that we have a full bibliography. Now, just a reminder, we did do a video over on the other channel, on Marfoogle News, our sister channel. Make sure to go check that out, talking about the 300-foot wave and the possible weapon that Vlad has that would wipe out Europe. Now, again, you've probably heard of that because he said he would use that against the U.S., and now he's saying he would possibly use it against the Europe, or at least their Russian-approved TV would. All right, and then down below, once you hit a yellow bar on our website, you'll see that there is web-only content. That is the stuff that is too hot for TV or too far to one direction for us to cover and stay neutral. We do try to stay as neutral as possible. I am a human being. I have opinions. But other than that, I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. So make sure to check down there. We have more people going down to that than watch us live. So make sure to go check it out. And then let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So a quick thank you to Daniel L. and Bill W. I appreciate the super thanks. We actually just got super thanks. I believe people have had it for like a year. We just got it. So basically what it is when you're watching the replay, you can actually do kind of a super chat type thing. So we've gotten 2 so far, and we thank you. We didn't really know how it even worked, but apparently right next to share or somewhere on that bar, there is an option to do that. So thank you, Daniel and Bill. Thank you for being like the first ones ever. If you do watch the replay and you do a super thanks, I guess we figured out that the next show we will make sure to shout you out because obviously you're watching the replay. All right, and then thank you everybody that has done that so far. So Daniel and Bill. All right, and then let's get started. The EU, the US, and 32 other countries. We kind of talked about this before. They were talking about kind of a way to stop information. Well, I'm sorry, information from going out. And it says that they just announced a declaration for the future of the internet. Sounds ominous, and I think it is. It says it echoes rules like the Digital Services Act. It says that the United States, all European Union member states, and the 32 non-EU countries have announced a declaration for the future of the internet that lays out priorities for an open, free, global, interoperable, reliable, and secure internet for corporations. Oh, I'm sorry, I added that part. Internet. It highlights goals for affordability, net neutrality, and removing illegal content without curtailing free expression that they agree with. Although it offers a few specifics for achieving them. The 3-page declaration, also summarized by the White House and the European Commission, offers a broad vision of the net as well as a mix of more specific issues for its 61 signatories. It says, quote, "We are united by a belief in the potential of digital technologies to promote connectivity, democracy, peace, and the rule of law, sustainable development, and the enjoyment of human rights and fundamental freedoms, but just certain ones." It says the document begins, but access to the open internet is limited by some authoritarian governments and online platforms, and digital tools are increasingly used to repress freedom of expression and deny other human rights and fundamental freedoms. So one thing to point out here is, so first of all, it seems like this is what would happen right before some massive kind of event that now it looks like the entire world will be able to kind of curtail things that they don't like. And that's just a possibility. That's my opinion. What is yours on this? This is on the kind of the curtails of Elon buying Twitter, and then a massive argument whether, because he is obviously for free speech, but yet here's another thing that I keep thinking about is the guy has so many government contracts, from the power grid with his Tesla, from military with his Neuralink, with military and Space Force with his rockets. The guy very well, I mean, he dates actors. He very well could be an actor. I don't know. Everybody's hoping he is a hero, but again, he is taking over that platform and basically making it private, which also means that everything could very well be very secretive what happens. Now, maybe he'll give some people some more freedoms, and maybe we'll start growing and we'll get more of a voice. But if we say the wrong thing, whoopah, and we're gone. And of course, as we know from previous Congress meetings, that all of these platforms really communicate and they connect, and they can knock you off of every one of them. At first, they said that they don't. But of course, in Congress, they actually proved otherwise, and they do. So that is why, again, that's why creators like myself, we are very careful about, how we say things and what we say, because this is the way that we can really reach a lot of people. Dex, go ahead.
Well, when you actually go and read the 3-page or multi-page document that they signed, and I know you posted this on Twitter, one of the things that they call out very specifically in here, but I would almost say it's in the fine print because it's just one line buried in here. It says they want to create a digital inclusion within society and bolster resilience to disinformation and misinformation. So it's really something to think about when all of these countries are signing on to something and you got a line in there like that, but there's really no clarity about what that means and how they're going to go about, basically censoring what they want to label, and how are they going to go about labeling, what type of information is what, right? So this is kind of a big deal. It's one of those big deals that nobody's really talking about, and including the author of this article, which I think comes from a pretty cited organization, at least in how they report in the past. And I'm not going to throw too much more shade at them, but the point is, it's not a lot out there on this, right? Not in the mainstream. So it was kind of hard to find somebody. And when they did talk about it, they did not cover it like this. They did not necessarily dive into the specific thing that's not hidden in here, but sort of, lurking inside this document about the management of information.
Well, and just to kind of put this out there is that this is, if you look at the nations that are involved, this is essentially a worldwide thing. So is there going to be something that basically they would need to curtail worldwide? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, if something does happen or major changes happen across the planet, would they need to curtail, say, opinions about those worldwide? It's just a thought. We don't know what this will actually entail yet. But judging on the patterns that have happened so far, it's kind of like every single day there is something new. It was like, what, Monday that Elon took Twitter. By Thursday, they had a governance board of information. So what do you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. Be nice. Thank you. And then Mallorca's claims new DHS information board will not monitor U.S. citizens. And, you know, we've learned a ton from people like Edward Snowden that they don't monitor U.S. citizens. Oh, wait. Oh, no, never mind. We learned the opposite. Every cell phone in the world, every laptop, every message. Oh, sorry, I misspoke. We learned from Edward Snowden that they monitor every citizen of the United States and every person across the planet, including presidents of other countries. But this is different. They've learned from their mistakes, and they got the slap on the hand from the entire planet. They said that, you know, it was a crime against humanity and all that. And now they're ready to fall in line. And they're only going to monitor people outside of our country. They're never, ever going to monitor us, of course. That whole thing that came out right at the beginning, like in February, about the whole, like, you know, CIA monitoring everybody's phones and stuff. You did not see that. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas claimed Sunday that his agency's Orwellian Information Governance Board will not monitor U.S. citizens. But Mayorkas conceded the administration could have done a better job communicating how the board will function. Now, remember, this is the same gentleman who there's a viral clip of showing that they asked him about the designation of people in the country being actually the largest threat to the country. If you remembered, it was a domestic word, right? Domestic, like as in the T cells, basically they're saying are not, you know, somebody from the Middle East, they're actually from like Tennessee or something. And that is the number one threat to our government, is basically, they have said, is, you know, people from Tennessee or New York or wherever, right? But then when was questioned on it, he couldn't name a single case, right? And that was the video that went all over the place. And then, of course, when that happened, this, of course, is all falling into the same place. And now we have this board and all of that. And now they're saying that they're not going to monitor people here, even though if you declare somebody a possible threat, then I don't see how that's even possible. So just a slight prediction is that later on we'll find out that it's actually totally reversed and it's 100% us. But that's just my opinion. Again, Dex?
Well, I think it's a play on words. I think he's using this word to make himself and make everybody sort of turn away and say, oh, really, there's nothing here going on here. We're safe now because they're not monitoring us. But it's really not about monitoring. You've got to remember what, you know, this notion of a board like this is there to do. It is to identify things that it doesn't want said and then disseminate that to the filters that are out there to prevent people from saying it. That doesn't mean they're monitoring anyone. That just means that the people who have the power and the platforms are going to be fed, hey, don't allow anybody to say this thing because we've labeled it, you know, whatever from this country or from whatever, and we think it's a threat, so you're not allowed to have anybody say it. That doesn't mean they're monitoring anyone. That's left to the networks. So I think it's a play on words. I think he's trying to say something to make it look less harmful, and in reality, it's really basically a list. They're creating a list of things that can and can't be said.
How do you monitor what people say without monitoring people? I guess they monitor the platforms.
He's not. He's not. The platform is, right? All he's got to do is tell, you know, Facebook, hey, here's a phrase you're not allowed, no one's allowed to say. We've labeled it bad. So it's up to Facebook to now do it. right? Facebook is already monitoring everybody because they watch everything, they filter everything, they kick people off when they say the wrong thing, and they get all of their information from these third parties. So they say that they work together with across all these networks to identify what is true and what is not, right? Those fact checkers, if you want to call them that, right? This is just a glorified governmental-based fact checker that's going to feed information into it. And again, the word monitoring doesn't even play into it. And I think it's just smoke and mirrors. That's my opinion.
Well, because they won't be
trying to say this to make everybody not worry about it. And
they will not be monitoring. The platforms will under this rule, or that's how it very well could end up. And then we've not seen the worst of the warns Microsoft billionaire Billy G. It says Billy G warns that we've not seen the worst of Microsoft billionaire says that there is way above 5% risk of this generating more transmissive and even more fatal variants. So again, we've talked about the many things that this guy has said, and the reason why people pay attention is because of all of the things he has said previously and his TED Talks, basically saying, if we do a really good job, we'll have less people around. It says the tech mogul and philanthropist said I just love how they put that in every article. They always put philanthropist. So you think, oh, he gives money to poor people. He goes to poor countries and takes photo ops and gives them $1 million for the company to give the people $10. And then that company comes back to the United States and, blows it on Las Vegas. It says the tech mogul and philanthropist said he did not want to sound doom and gloom, but warned that there was a risk of an even more fatal variant that could be generated. Now, remember, he also mentioned bird to human, and then of course Robert Redfield, the former director of the cat, they actually said that he said that the next one would be from bird to human. Now recently in the last week we actually had the first case of this and this from birds to humans. I believe, Dex, was that in the United States? Was that here? That was here, wasn't it?
We have the first case here. It's in Colorado.
Yep. So just watch the words of certain people, because those certain people, obviously many believe, have a tie-in with everything. By the way, he randomly, over the last few years bought up all of the farmland. He does own more than anybody else, yet he can hardly see the guy, hoeing it. So I don't know. Can the world feed itself? Historic fertilizer crunch threatens security. So speaking of which, it's kind of crazy, because think about all the farms that were bought and now are not farming. I just wonder if there are a lot of farms out there that were, say, purchased for full purchase price, or even more than what they wanted to give it away for. Maybe they were like, no, we're not selling, and they're like, well, add another zero. Okay, I will sell. And then they don't get used at all, and they're just not farming. I just wonder how many farms are out there that are just no longer farms. It says for the first time ever, farmers the world over all at the same time are testing the limits of how little chemical fertilizer can apply without devastating their yields come harvest time. Early predictions are bleak. So, by the way, we have covered so many food-related stories. It's absolutely a pattern. And I think most of you know from watching exactly what we're talking about. It is absolutely getting insane. This is a daily occurrence. We are covering this every single day, almost 5 days a week. For 3 years straight, we've had a story like this every single day. So, that's like that's probably 800 different stories, and they're all separate about what is happening to all of our farmland and to different farmers and things like this. And by the way, one day it will be there's a shortage of this. The next day it will be a massive flood here, or one day it will be this logistical service broke down, or this or that. And when it's broken up into little pieces, you go, oh, it's just one event. But when you look at it, in a whole, you're like, wow, this has been going on every day for 3 years, and it's all over the place. This is massive, people. And most your friends and family that just think you're totally nuts, they're not seeing it because they are watching, and no offense, I've been watching the Depp trial too. It is distracting because it's entertainment. It is literally a show, right? But that is something that does eat up time. That most people, it may be wandering off somewhere else on the internet. But now, if you go on any platform, it's like every third video is like a highlight video. So that every time you click on a 2.5 minute video, you are not clicking on something else. And it has eaten up a huge percentage of like shorts. Now everybody is watching those shorts. Less and less people are watching long form content like this on YouTube. And if they are, they're watching live. They're not watching like videos. If you've noticed, every big YouTuber that you may have seen, a lot of them, unless their audience is like 3 to 8 years old, a lot of them, in which, by the way, people, put their kids in front for hours and hours, less and less people are getting any kind of views. Even the ones in millions of subscribers are getting the same amount of views as us because they're actual edited video content. People don't want that. People want to swipe every 60 seconds. Slowly, our attention span is getting eaten away so fast that we don't even want to see more than 60 seconds. We see it all the time as content providers, and anybody that makes content for YouTube knows it too. That basically you make a 11-minute video, people complain. It's like, oh, you took 1.5 minutes to get to the point, or you did a 45-second intro. I've seen that comment, and it's like, you can't wait 45 seconds for something to start. If you're watching a movie, if you've noticed, even movies have made their intros so short, it's like it will be title and then you're in. A lot of them are like blending into the actual beginning of the movie, the production companies that are making them, because they want to keep your attention. People, and here's another weird fact. People are walking out of movie theaters because they can't sit through a 2-hour movie. So even the long movies, like apparently with the new Marvel Spider-Man, as bad, as good as that film was. And I was going to say badass, but as badass as that movie was, people walked out of it because they couldn't handle the long run time. It all plays into how over time we are being shaped and no one even notices. Every single day, it's just a little bit more and a little bit more. And for those, your friends and family, they look at that and they go, you're crazy. You think that this whole world is doing something to, shape the world? Yeah, they're meeting. They're doing humongous meetings. The most powerful people in the world meet every year. And more than that, but the main one where everybody meets, they have like 2 different groups, at least 2, that are the most powerful people in the world. And that's just like the private groups where they're drinking wine and hanging out. We're not talking about all the UN and all this other stuff that meet. We're talking about powerful people. For instance, this meeting that just happened with all these countries on Zoom, and they decided this stuff. How did they decide this? And how did they do it in a small amount of time? They decided for the rest of the world that they're going to do this declaration. It wasn't that long of a meeting, not for what they're deciding, because they've been talking about it. Each and every one of them has been told probably for months or years, hey, this is coming. We're going to do this, this, and this, and that. We need you to say, oh, I agree. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. While we're on the subject of food, if you do not have any kind of long-term survival food, we have an option for you that will actually help our channel as well. This is an affiliate. This is My Patriot Supply, where you can get freeze-dried food. And what's great about this company is they have not raised their prices throughout all of the cough. In fact, they kept their prices the same, and they have a great stock. A lot of the smaller distributors are now out of freeze-dried food because they cannot attain it. Freeze-dried and long-term survival food is getting harder and harder to find. Plus, the prices are skyrocketing. There is so much demand for this kind of food that it is now running out. And basically the providers that provide these companies with the materials for it, that is also running low. So now, In fact, others here on YouTube, they have said that places like the Red Cross, Canadian Prepper said Red Cross called him and said he would they would write a blank check for all of his MREs. So again, crazy stuff like that is happening right now. So if you do want to get yourself some long-term survival food that can store for years and years, I highly recommend going over here on the 3-month supply, which comes in, basically everything is packed away, sealed in, private little bags, and then into sealed buckets. Those, again, it's a 3-month supply at $150 off. That will also help us at the same time. So you are getting something of substance that you can keep for years and hedge against inflation as far as having food go up, and you'll be helping your favorite independent channel at the same time. We are not treated the same because we are covering the same subjects as basically the all-exalted ones that are approved legacy medias. So thank you everybody that does support. If you like our content and find value in what we do on and offline, that is much appreciated. Again, you can also get iodine pills. You can also get the Alexa Pure Pro. If you don't trust what's in your water or your tap water, make sure to go over there and check one of those out. It's a gravity-fed, huge filtration system that can actually filter a ton of water. That would be the kind of system you would want if you say, SHTF happened and you needed a whole shower worth of water. It really does filter a ton all at one time. So it's no Brita filter. It's a lot bigger. That's, again, marfooglenews.com/prep. I appreciate every one of you that has done so through us. Again, thank you, and thank you. All right, and then Dex, let's talk about violence and erupting in Paris as demonstrators throw fireworks at a McDonald's restaurant. I tweeted some of this earlier. This kind of happens once a year around, May Day, but what do you think about what happened here?
I think this is definitely a holdout from the event that happened when they go through the process for their leader, right? And that we've talked about this numerous times. We've seen small things. We've heard about, unfortunate people perishing in the streets at the hands of the police there after an event. All of this stuff has been a continuation ever since Macron won against Le Pen, and that seems to be the situation here. Of course, this is around, like you said, May Day, which is a big, labor anniversary for a lot of people, especially around the globe. And so it was sort of marking that day, but I definitely think that a lot of this was built up on top of that as well.
Blue Knight says, the French go hard. Yes, they do. In fact, the people there have always kind of pushed back, or at least for the last few years. They are having a very similar scenario as we did here, or at least that's what they say. And that's involving who was picked for their leader. So, Dex?
Well, and attacking the McDonald's, I mean, come on, they don't even have croissants there. So, they're probably upset with the food.
Do they have like croissants? Macrons?
I don't know.
Oh my
You think
gosh.
in Paris they would, right?
A macron. It's a croissant and a macron. Macron. It's a croissant, but with McDonald's. Okay.
Their palate over there is so sophisticated. I'm surprised they eat at McDonald's.
I'll just move on. Beijing looks to save $3.2 trillion in foreign reserves from sanctions in the event of a military conflict. So more signs that something is going on. Most of you know my opinion as far as what Xi is possibly doing right now, and they are preparing for. To put a couple of the little things out there that anyone that follows the show knows, Taiwan has been handed pamphlets from their military basically saying, like, in the case of conflict, you need to know where your shelters are, where this is, where that is, how to survive. It even gives them little guides on how to prepare food right now. It also I think it mentions to, self-defense tips and things like that. And then, of course, you have them approving for them to put mines out in the water between Xi and them. That is something you would do right before a conflict starts. You have the U.S. doing what we predicted, which we said, hey, if we don't have our Navy already there, then it's going to be too late. By the time that they set out, they're only 100 miles away. Even if satellites know right when they leave their port, we would still be too late, and we would not have enough military there to stop them from taking it. And again, we would have to be there. We saw, and of course, they tried sending right between the channel between them and Xi. They sent part of our Navy and I want to say a carrier strike group. But that is something that they would have to do if they were even to begin to try to stand up for them. But many of us, including myself, believe that they're going to let it go for some reason, because you see our president telling us in multiple addresses now that, hey, get ready for Made in America. We're going to go back to everything made here. And we're even going to make a semiconductor chip factory right here in the US of A. High five. Intel is here to talk to you about it. We're making our own semiconductor chips. Well, it seems to me like they're doing that because they won't have Taiwan making it for us. If Taiwan is under the control of Xi, then the prices might go up a little bit, and they will have full control over most of electronics in the world. Think about that. A majority of these chips that are used in everything from computers to cars to every electronic you can possibly see, these chips are in almost everything, from DVD players to Blu-ray to literal planes. Anything and everything has these chips in it, and a majority is made in Taiwan, which is under threat of being taken over. And if it is taken over, we are then dependent not only for life-saving antibiotics and all of this other stuff, we are also dependent for almost anything electronic in a modern civilization where technology rules. AI rules, quantum computing rules, and right now we have our own Pentagon telling us that we are behind in all of those. So not a very good thing. And also, we covered just the other day, they said that as far as quantum computing, just a side note, that Dex, what was it? They did a process that took, it was a quantum computing process that basically took, it would take a normal supercomputer like weeks to do or days, and they did it in like
years.
And we did it in a few minutes, and they did it like 300 times faster. So in a matter of seconds, they did what our quantum computer could do in minutes.
They set the new record.
They set the new record. Not looking good. And if you don't know why quantum computing is important, I would definitely go down that rabbit hole. Quantum computing very well could. I mean, this is what people like Elon have said that they fear more than nuclear weapons is they actually fear AI and quantum computing, because that could end up literally taking over the world. Pretty crazy stuff. It's out of a sci-fi movie, but it is now it's now real, or a very big possibility. But basically, they are preparing. It says officials are looking at ways to defend the country from economic attack if the West should look to sanction Xi in the same way it did Vlad, stoking fears that the nation is preparing for invasion of Taiwan. And his regulators held an emergency meeting April 22nd between officials from China's central bank and the finance ministry, domestic banks operating within Xi land, and international lenders such as HSBC. The West's harsh economic sanctions on Vlad prompted the emergency meeting, with the Ministry of Finance stating that President Xi's administration had been put on alert by the surprise dollar freeze. So, and another thing, Dex, is, as far as preparing for this, they are very powerful now, and they became much more powerful than anyone could have imagined. They're not backwards anymore. They can manufacture high-end, high-tech things. It's not like dollar store knockoffs anymore. In fact, our quality products that are made here, a ton of it was shipped over to be made there. It was all about labor. In fact, the factories, like I said, people thought, oh, well, they didn't have the technology and all this stuff. Well, big corporations ended up doing low labor deals with them and ended up shipping not only their technology, but their factories and their robotics and everything else over there to work. So they have the ability to manufacture our high-end things, our extremely high-tech objects. They're not behind. And that's what I think a lot of people are still stuck on. I still see the comment like, oh, well, if we get into a conflict with them, if they come with tanks, it's like, well, they're made there, so they won't last long. That's not true anymore. And our own Pentagon is saying it. Dex, go ahead.
Well, I was thinking that a lot of what we've seen in UKR with the bear was the trial run, right? It was, probably in coordination of some sort and in support of in some sort with Xi and his country, but it was a trial run. It was sort of like, okay, if we make the threat of nukes, will they hold off? If they send in their types of equipment, what are they going to do? If they do sanctions, what is it they're going to do? What do we need to be prepared for, right? And they were able to sort of see how that played out exactly in UKR. And now this is just one example of, okay, we saw what happened. So now what are we going to do to circumvent that? What are we going to do to prevent the economic sanctions? What are we going to do? How are we going to handle this type of equipment? Or what are the red lines that, the allies of the U.S. said, but that never really upheld, right? So it's one giant test, I think, when you look at what we saw with UKR versus what we may see next with Taiwan, right?
Yeah, and by the way, my wife just popped in, so I don't know how long you've been watching, but this is like there's some crazy stuff here that I meant to talk to you about as far as the previous stories here. Let's see here. This basically exactly what I was telling you before about them looking at what happened to Vlad and now preparing for the financial aspect of a conflict. So that was something my wife and I talked about previously. Either way, and then moving on, the UFO briefings on Capitol Hill have begun. Lawmakers aren't impressed. It says agencies need to take this issue much more seriously, one aide said. And it says that lawmakers receiving the latest secret briefings on UFOs say national security agencies still aren't taking seriously the reports of highly advanced aircraft of unknown origin violating protected airspace. Members of the Senate Intelligence and Armed Services Committee received a classified progress report in recent weeks on a series of new data collection efforts the Pentagon and spy agencies are now required to pursue to more rigorously investigate reports of UFOs. 3 people with direct knowledge confirmed. One thing I love, and I read a lot of articles, obviously, and I analyze a lot of news, is they always have someone familiar with the subject or someone close to the subject but anonymously telling us. What's so funny is that if anybody at our size said that, they get the cruise like, oh, you got a friend there and then this and that. But when mainstream says it, everyone believes it. It's always 3 people with direct knowledge. Are they a traitor? Like, are they giving away information that shouldn't be given out? Like, will they go to jail for it? Like, there's always, and you'll notice that, and when I've said anything about it, you'll always notice this. And it's almost every article has something, someone close to it, familiar with it, says. What is their position? Why are we trusting this just because they say so? They could make up anything and say that. That is the big kind of debate about certain creators too. It's like, how do you believe one person from the next if they say they know somebody? I don't expect people to believe us when we say something. That's why I just ask people to verify with the audience how much military we actually have here. But I could see even being as far as the UFO stuff goes, I think that half of this is a big distraction, and I think that things like this are put out and kind of doled out in little snippets when they need it. It says, but some leading sponsors of recent legislation want more analyst and surveillance system dedicated to determining the aircraft's origin. So what we do know is they supposedly have all of these aircraft coming into our airspace, some high-tech aircraft or drones or something, and they don't know what it is. So on the other end, even if you just leave your mind open just a little bit and they're angels or they're UFOs or something else, either way, it's kind of a crazy time to live in where we're talking about this stuff and it's in legacy media and all over the public. Why is it so much in the public for the last few years? Did something change behind closed doors, or is it a big distraction? And then Kim warns NK would preemptively use nuclear. This is something we briefly mentioned. Again, over the weekend, a lot of things happened. It says that NK leader Kim Jong warned yet again that the North could preemptively use its nuclear weapons if it was threatened, as he praised his top military officials over the staging of a massive military parade in the cap. It says Kim expressed firm will to continue developing his nuclear-armed military so that it could preemptively and thoroughly contain and frustrate all dangerous attempts and threatening moves, including ever-escalating nuclear threats from hostile forces, if necessary. And they're saying that because, of course, I believe the South K actually said something about possibly doing a first strike of some sort. Dex, do you remember that, or am I wrong? Didn't SK basically talk about that?
Yeah, they said if there was any action on their part that they didn't have a problem doing a preemptive themselves. Not with they didn't claim nukes. They just said preemptive against their facilities and wherever their heavy equipment would be or nukes would be.
Atomic Clown says Kim needs corrected bad. Blake Lee, what's going on? Jstone78 is in the house. What is going on? Belinda Golks, Caleb Block, Spirit Jam, CJ Blaze is also modding right now. Thank you so much. Bonnie Mullen, thank you. The Witness, hey. We've got Suckafu. Susan Donahue, everything's super duper normal. Yeah, exactly. By the way, a big shout out. I don't know if they're here tonight, but make sure to go check out Global Witness. If you haven't went over and followed Global Witness, make sure to go do so. Both Derek and Malia are awesome people on and off camera. And I usually hold judgment until I talk to people off camera, and they are the same on and off. By the way, thank you to R. Tate for your support over on D Live. Thank you again for Daniel L. and Bill for the super thanks. And then over on YouTube, several people popped in that we did miss. Casey Sunshine, Nada Natty, thank you so much. And it looks like Caleb Block, thank you. Irish Rebel, another big support from Irish Rebel. Thank you, Irish. I appreciate that. George Costanza says, drop acid, not bombs. That would be crazy if that was the real guy there. James Fox, it looks like we have a lot of celebrities here tonight. Thank you for the super chat. You can always write something there, by the way. There was no super sticker or anything on that one. And then Mimi says, Adam, 3.56 EQ yesterday, Mount Vernon, all three tsunami stations off. Thanks to Biden recently on Seattle, because can't afford the Pacific Northwest is popping. Be safe. So, you know what? I'm pretty shocked at how utterly unprepared we are for Cascadia and stuff like that. It just kind of further pushes me to say, what are these idiots doing? And I don't say that lightly. Like, the Northwest is a hub, and we are experiments for the rest of the country. By the way, our politicians, I think that they're being kind of set up for bigger spots, as we've seen before. We've had our people taken from here and now are, in the Senate and other places and in Congress. I think that's what they have planned for Jay. He's just doing whatever they say. Lola Cafe, thank you so much. Simply Pony says, hello, Mother Fooglers. Thank you so much. And thank you for being the first one to pop in, Simply. I appreciate that. All right. And then as far as Kim goes, we've talked about it, many times. we have actually talked about how Vlad isn't Kim, right? And we don't even know if Kim is Kim. We don't know if this is a big distraction or if it's saber rattling or whatever, but some think that it will be Kim would be the most likely to do some sort of nuke or fractional orbital bombardment system. In fact, the government thinks, or at least they are telegraphing, that they believe Kim is the most likely to do some sort of EMP scenario, and that the theory is that he would actually do it possibly for somebody else. If you think about it, if they did it, then we would knock them out. If they have the back of, say, Xi and Vlad, then we couldn't respond directly to Xi, and we couldn't respond directly to Vlad if Kim and his family are taken care of, because it doesn't look like their country's going very well. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe that may happen. It's a crazy idea to think about. I think most people, it is so far and taboo to think of an actual nuclear event happening. But if you think about an EMP, that is actually one of the most priorities and most likely as far as the big disasters, because it doesn't directly, unalive people. It actually is a way that they can do it, and the reason why people will perish is because they won't have access to water, they won't have access to gas, they won't have access to any infrastructure. It will all go down. It's a bad state that we're in because we're completely and utterly dependent on technology. In fact, since we're on that subject, I will bring up, if you guys have not already, make sure to go over and check out EMP Shield. For all of the different threats, we try to give you some sort of solution for it, or at least some sort of protection. If we're going to talk about EMPs, we want to make sure that you can actually protect yourself against it, or at least protect your generators, your houses, your cars. Make sure to go over to EMP Shield at marfooglenews.com/EMP. Not only can you get the same protection that agencies like DHS, DOD, and the Texas Grid on the DEMSO team are doing, but you can also protect yourself against the solar kind, the solar flares or the CMEs, the Carrington level events you've heard about. You can actually protect all of your devices, your motorcycles, your boats, your car, your house, your solar system with this device. It can actually ground the signal in 500 trillionths of a second before it can fry your device. This is again over at marfooglenews.com/EMP. It is 100% American made. There is not a single part in it from outside of the country, and it is a veteran-owned business. Not only that, if you get one for your house, this will also protect it against lightning strikes. Again, there is a 100% lightning guarantee backed by a $25,000 insurance policy. So make sure to go check that out as well, anyone that's in the Midwest or goes through a lot of storms. All right, and then, Dex, let's talk about world is closer to nuclear conflict than the Cuban Missile Crisis, and that is, of course, coming from Russian academic here. So you want to go over this real quick? It's pretty bananas.
Yeah, it definitely is, Adam. So Nina Khrushcheva is an academic whose great-grandfather was the leader of the Soviet back in 62 during the standoff, warned that the conflict with UKR is more dangerous because neither side appears to be prepared to actually back off. So both the Bear and the West are closer to nuclear conflict than during the Cuban Missile Crisis, the great-granddaughter of Nikita Khrushchev has said. So that's who is saying this. Again, we've talked about this, probably every show for the last 2 weeks, because there is always something coming out from the Bear country's point of view about escalating to nuclear. And it kind of goes back to the point I was making earlier about the test. And it's sort of like, how many times do they say it before they actually do it? Or are they just proving that they're just saying it and it's never going to happen? Or are they testing it every time they say it to try to stop something else from happening? But in this example, and I'll continue on, Nina is an academic whose great-grandfather was a leader back during the time. And she said, despite the conflict of words during the period of the cold conflict between Kennedy and Khrushchev, they agreed to de-escalate as soon as there was a real threat of actual nuclear action, right? So speaking on the Today program, she said it was clear, quote unquote, the current conflict has a proxy conflict between the West and the Bear in the UKR, to some degree a pawn, or she's saying UKR is somewhat of a pawn. So actually, it's kind of some of the things we've said. We've talked about the UKR being sort of a proxy conflict, or at least being, in my opinion, a way of sort of testing out what's going to happen between these superpowers, so to speak. But the professor of international affairs at the New School in New York said of the 62 crisis, what really saved the world at the time was that both Khrushchev and Kennedy, whatever they thought of each other's ideology and disagreed with it, they didn't want to give in and blink first. They were both, understood that the threat was, a period of the potential conflict and any kind of immediately backed off. And basically they knew there was no outcome. There was no winnable outcome. In other words, it's complete annihilation. So, when it actually came down to the point of pushing the button, neither side would do it, or that's what she's supposing, is that neither side did it. It has to come down to that level, and then they actually back off and don't do it, because there is no winning outcome. Now, we have talked a lot about the tactical side. We know that we have since those days of the Cuban days, since Kennedy, since the earlier days of of the nuclear exploration, we've actually seen a growth in more tactical, meaning very small. And when I say tactical, I'm talking much smaller than the bigger stuff, where they can sort of target either in a battlefield or in a location in a city or a suburb or somewhere. It's basically a base. If they want to take a base out, they can do that with a tactical, and it's not necessarily as detrimental as, say, some of these big, massive end of world
Sarmat
size booms they have, right? And even something like the Sarmat could deliver tacticals, because it delivers multiple warheads. So the real question is, what comes of that, and do we see the first ever use of that in the near future, or is just going to continue to be a conflict of words going back and forth, and red lines drawn but never crossed, or red lines drawn but when crossed nobody does anything?
Well, it's always something. By the as far as closer, many people that have lived through that, obviously, when you were a kid, Dex, you climbed under the desk, and many of the people here, that you had these drills where you climbed under your desk like it would help. Again, and you did actual drills, and people were just scared crapless, right? But now it's quite the opposite. There is no talk of it, and it is so far away from people's minds. The one thing that I would say is that since people have been granted this kind of, very easy life in most of the developed countries, we don't think it's a possibility anymore. And I think that from a prepper standpoint, there should always be a 5% of you that believes, this could happen, and there should be at least a tiny bit of preparation for anything that may happen. As far as this goes, we've heard a lot of that, but we've never seen it in chorison with everything that is going on right now, with all the crazy plans that are going on right now. I mean, it is really just a lot is falling into place. By the way, I saw that Global Witness is here. By the way, I just shouted you out a few minutes ago, and I just wanted to send people over and say thank you. I just basically let people know, like, you are, I haven't been able to talk to you lately, but you really are just a great person, and I thank you for being the same person on and off camera. Nana of Montana, same with Jacob Israel. There's a lot of people that are very different when they get off camera. Those guys are really good dudes. So Jacob Israel, wishes me happy birthday. Calls me and asks me about my kids. Same with Derek, and they're just great people. Nana of Montana says, I grew up, let's see here. I'm assuming it's going to say I grew up during these times. I grew up during duck and cover in school. Remember those days real well. Have a plan. So again, it might have been a little bit overboard in some people's minds, or since it didn't happen, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, we grew up with that every day. Now it's the opposite. This generation has no thoughts of it ever happening. Go ahead, Dex.
Well, and Adam, just, to go back to why we got underneath desks, it wasn't because if a nuke went off in your town, that was going to save you. If it went off in your town, you were done, right? The real question is if it went off in the town next to you or so many miles away, you're going to have this massive air rush that flies in debris that goes flying, sort of like a tornado, but it's all in a directional, straight line pattern, or not straight, but out from the center, circular pattern from the detonation site. But if you're in that path, there's places you can be in the path where you're just going to have destruction and not necessarily heat. And if that was the whole point, is like if the ceiling rips off and debris is flying around, like be underneath a table, be underneath a desk. And that holds true today at your house, right? Like if something goes off, get underneath it, because it's, you're either out or if you're not out, then that's the best way, the best chance you have of surviving, because stuff's going to fall on you.
And by the way, Stylin Works, I believe that was, said that that Washington State banned nuclear preparedness. Now, somebody reading that would go, "What do you mean?" I think that is true. I don't know if it's exactly like that, but I think that a lot of places did, because it was supposed to give the notion that we would use it or something, that if we were preparing for a nuke, that would be a threatening gesture to other countries, saying that we may use them or something like that. There was some sort of logic that went with it that I'm like, okay, but nobody else is doing that, so then we're just the only ones not prepared for it. If we're the most powerful, then who cares if they know we have preparedness and sirens and all these things, prepared. Nobody knows where their local shelter is. Many people don't have a local shelter. There are no nuke shelters, whereas Moscow has enough shelters and within reach to house every citizen in the main city of Moscow. Every one of them can fit in a shelter, and they're stocked and ready. That's kind of scary if you think about it. By the way, somebody said, and I missed their name, said Jacob may be a good dude, but he's new age. So as far as any thoughts that come from Jacob or what he believes in, I don't judge my friends based on that. I judge them on are they honest with me, and are they good to me? And as far as like if I was in a really crappy situation, who would I want next to me? As far as what he believes, we all believe something different, and there's never going to be somebody who believes exactly what you do. So that's putting your standards up to the ceiling. As far as what his thoughts are, if he chooses to put that out, then that's his thing. That's what I don't get about the kind of thing. Like if somebody doesn't like a channel, every channel has this. Every channel, whether it be global or whether it be Magic Prepper or Central Florida Prepper or Survival Living or any channel out there, they're going to have people that don't like you, but they still watch. In fact, they watch more than regular people, and I never understood that. They feel like it's their position to make other people not watch you, but yet at the same time, they watch everything you do. I've had, there was one guy, he's out there for 4 years just making videos about me and a handful of people, and it's like, why? Why would you spend all your time trying to make people not watch somebody else? That's where I think it's just weird. I think that's absolutely weird. Why would you do that? Nobody slighted you. Nobody screwed with you. Why would you want to screw with somebody for years? I think that's just odd. So as far as Jacob and what he believes, that's up to him. That's his prerogative. And then UKR claims TB2 drones sunk patrol boats off of Snake Island. So I am going to hold any kind of judgment on a story like this until way later, because anything, especially this island, we don't know if it will be proven true or false in a couple days, or if it even happened. Especially anything that's happening over there, I am very reserved to even believe until at least a week goes by. And even then, as we know, we've seen things with our own eyes that get put in a history book as a different event altogether. So it says the UKR military claims to have used its Turkish-supplied TB2 drones to destroy a pair of patrol craft in the Black Sea. Now, what I do believe is that they have NATO infrastructure there. I do believe that they could have done that. What, Dex, did we end up getting the were you able to see what RT and other of their sources said about this? I would assume that they're denying that it happened, or that they're pissed off about it.
Well, there's a video about it, and I'm trying to pull it up to see if I can. There's an updated video that has come out, and I'm trying to get the information off of that. But yeah, I think I think the thing that we have to pay attention to here is that we've got this tech that, and I should say they, UKR has this tech that they're using that's probably a lot more advanced than the bear was expecting. And it just means that they reaffirm that what's being used is coming from NATO, right? In their minds, whether it is or isn't, but it probably is, because we report every day about, more equipment going in. It's usually older equipment, but is no surprise that there's not, that we wouldn't be giving them some newer equipment. And there was also, even claims of the satellite internet systems that are over there being leveraged and used, helping them have connectivity with things like drones and other stuff. So, and of course, that's would be coming from Starlink and what was happening there. So, definitely in that category, that sort of gray area of, plausible deniability, but the enemy can sort of point the finger and say, yeah, this is really you doing it. And we're kind of in that gray territory right now, which goes back to like, okay, well, what are they going to do about it? Are they really going to do? It's like a test. Are they really going to do something, or are they just, screaming and yelling about it?
Yes, I agree there. Somebody, Dustin Walker says, why spread the fear of nukes to maintain audience? Okay, so by the way, and I'll do this because I don't recognize your name and you may be new. I could see how somebody could see it like that. Everything here is from a prepper standpoint. And if we could both agree, we could sit there and say, is nuclear weapons a actual possibility? Whether it be 0.1% or 10% or 50% or 100%, we knew we were going to be nuked tomorrow. If it is a 0.01%, it's a possibility. And that's something that preppers look at everything and all things. We're not going to not talk about it. And if you look at as far as community and society now, it is a taboo. Why is it a taboo? If it's an actual event that may happen, why would we not talk about it? It is in culture not to talk about depressing things or scary things because you're not, you're looked at as a fearmonger. None of the people that are super prepped for this are afraid of it. In fact, if it happens, they're going to be the ones who survive. As far as being afraid, no one is afraid. And if you are afraid, you or anyone else, then this may not be the channel for you. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to watch. This is voluntary, and people have to look out my channel and my content. This isn't suggested. This isn't put all over on trending. You have to actually search this kind of content out. So this is a niche where this is what we do and this is how we think. It goes down to back to like Jacob and what he does with his thoughts. If you don't like their thoughts and things, you don't have to listen to their thoughts. Are they good people? Yes or no, whatever else. That doesn't really matter because you are going out of your way to find this. It's not to maintain audience. And by the way, to guarantee that, it doesn't matter if we talk about UFOs or if we talk about Bigfoot or if we talk about dreams. Anyone here can tell you we've had this same audience and it has slowly gone up and it's been kept there. Doesn't matter what we talk about. We don't talk about nukes every day. In fact, we've gone weeks or months without talking about nuclear or anything scary. We've had whole shows and we have the same audience either way. Do we not? We have anywhere from, whatever we have now, 3,000 to 15,000 on a crazy show. So it's like, it doesn't matter what we're talking about. This community, we are thinking about this. That we're talking about what we're thinking about and what we believe. If someone else doesn't believe that, that's totally fine. But if there's a debate, the one person's going to win, unless you're saying like nukes don't exist at all and that it's just a theory, right? That it was used to control us. That's like a whole nother subject, right? But most of us, 99%, are going to go nukes are real, and that means it's a real possibility. There's no debate. We don't have to scare people to get higher YouTube views, and anyone who actually knows how YouTube works knows that view count doesn't matter. The sub count does not matter. Subscribers don't matter. You could have 1 million subscribers and make less than a 10,000 subscriber channel. Case in point, I just heard that guy from Before They Were Famous is giving away his 3.5 million subscriber channel because it's dead. A lot of the Kappa channels that did like Lego reviews and stuff, a lot of those guys have 1 million subscriber channels and they just toss them away because now they don't get the same kind of treatment. Same thing here. It's like if we're covering controversial stuff, there's no motivation for us to do it. People, if we talk about positive things, I would believe that people would probably donate more. I don't see the motivation for scaring. This is something I think about with my family, my wife think about it. If you get to know us, then you realize that this is actually what myself and my family talk about, including I'm very lucky. I have a lot of aunts and uncles and my sisters and everybody around me kind of, we're in the same boat and we grew up the same way. And we actually feel like this is not a good time. So rather than being totally asleep to it and saying this will never happen, we talk about it, and the more you talk about something, the more you prepare for something, the more you war game something out, the less surprised and the less screwed you are when it actually happens. So that is a long explanation, but I do want to say, because there's a lot of new people that pop in and out, and they may not know. So I hope people realize that. Like, it doesn't matter what we talk about. We get the same views every video and have. It really doesn't matter if it's a 3-minute video or a 3-hour video, but we still continue to put the same amount of work out. And then Chesapeake Fire responds to industrial fire at Purdue Farms facility. So obviously many people are talking about this. I do believe that this whole kind of group of things, there's been a lot of actual disinformation out. And some even believe that some of the information is being put out on purpose so that people like myself or others repeat that information, and then this new board or platforms are able to go, boom, knock you right off. As far as the numbers go, people are saying, and in fact, I think I was talking about this with my mods and Ilea and everybody else. Snopes actually had an article about whether this gentleman was arrested or not. And it said it was false, this and that. But it also said that they looked at the actual events going on and said that it's not unusual. It is record-breaking. So I would say anything by definition, if it breaks an all-time record per year of all these different events, then it's unusual. I would say that you can't say something is not unusual if it breaks a record. That's an opinion. Now they actually fact-check opinions, which I don't think. Say, for instance, the president said a word, and I can't remember. Dex, do you remember that word he said? He said, like, fat or fast or something, and it had an S in it. And everybody argued whether he said it or not, but millions of people heard, fast, for instance. And everybody argued over what he actually said, and Snopes said, no, he didn't. And everybody's like, we can hear it. There's an S. It's a word without an S in it. So it has to be that he did say it. But they're basically like claiming that, that's a false opinion because in the script he read, there was no S. They're like, in his script, it said no S. Well, okay. He misread it wrong and said an S in the word. So I don't remember if anyone remembers exactly what I'm talking about. But it was fact-checked, and they fact-checked people's opinions of what they heard. I mean, that's just crazy. Either way, there's a whole debate there as well. Alfred K. Phillips says, thanks, Marfoogle, Adam, Dex, and Mods. Hey, thank you, and Daily Moo. I got to go prep a bit more out of pasta. I ate through 10 bags. Well, that's another thing. People are constantly going through their old preps, and especially if you look at your preps, and if you prepped like 4 or 5 years ago, you may have to go through your stuff and look at it again and say, hey, some of my stuff is way outdated. We've had to do that every few years. Let's see here. And then we found morels today. Ooh, Cheryl Ankins. Those are expensive mushrooms there. Let's see. Blake Lee, what's going on? Keith Henry, Angra Manu. I appreciate that. It's nice to see you and welcome. Carol McLean, Blake Lee. Throw out your television, says Blake Lee. Another good use of those emojis is saying things that you can't normally say, right? If you're creative, you can do that as well. All right, and so as far as the fires go, they are looking at this. This is part of this whole board that's being formed and things like this. There are theories about this. You can go over to marfooglenews.com to go see what is being said. It's very crazy stuff. And then we have Vladimir is suffering from early stage dementia, and his paranoia is driving him insane, says former KGB agent. Dex, do we know? I didn't look to cross-check to see if this was the same guy who said he had cancer. This is a different gentleman, correct? Or is this the same one?
No, I think this is a different one. It could be, but there's also discussion that he's going off to get surgery for his cancer. That's another rumor that's going around now. So I don't know if it's this person that said that one, but this is interesting because it's like they're throwing at their leader what we throw at our leader. So I thought it was a new flavor of shade on the president of the bear country, right?
Well, I mean, whoever believes it 100%, I would say it's a spy, a literal spy, saying it. So I would take it with a grain of salt. But then you're starting to get all this information or this information coming out about him possibly having cancer, which that does matter in the context of everything. If he had, say, the doctors told him he had a year to live or something, if he has this grand vision of reuniting the USSR, then if he has a literal amount of time left or, something like that, then that's why people think it matters, because if he is, on his deathbed or something or has a year to live, then he may move things faster or he may not care to push the button. This also could be done to scare people because they would think exactly that, oh, well, if he does have cancer, if he's dying or he's Parkinson's, he's not healthy, that maybe he would be more willing to do something, or, like, hey, I'm going to die anyways, boom, push the button. Maybe it's Ganda, maybe it's not. We don't know. But they are saying that, again, this man is saying that he's stating he has Parkinson's and early stage dementia. So, I don't know. I've seen a lot of rumors online, especially like the shorts that they do. I've seen like 5 different theories of why he always carries his arm by the side. The most convincing is that he's an ex-KGB and they were trained to always keep their arm by their weapon. The only reason I say that is because I have seen that as far as in correspondence. I've seen that in movies. I've seen that on other clips of actual KGB, and they walk like that. So if you ever watch a video of Vlad, he'll swing his left arm, but he won't swing his right. And they say that's because they got used to always being able to draw like somebody out of the Old West, But if there's a more realistic thing, or, I've heard stroke, I've heard that he had a heart attack, I've heard all sorts of stuff, and it's mostly in those YouTube shorts that are usually copied and pasted over from, TikTok. Who knows, though? If he is, it may make a difference. We are on the subject of make a difference. If you want to sit your next blackout through, and not be out of power, I would highly recommend going and getting a solar generator. Why we are now recommending solar is, one, because it is quiet and people will not hear it, and two, it does not require gas. Now, there's a couple downsides, as far as if there's no sun, if we are talking about, say, today's subject of, say, nukes or something like that, then, yeah, if the sky was totally blacked out because of a nuclear cloud, something like this, of course, would not be a great thing. But that's one of the few instances where it is. Other than that, one thing I even talked to my neighbor about is they said when the power went out here, they could hear every person within 5 blocks that had one. As far as a gas-powered generator, they're loud and they are really hard to conceal. Unless you make a soundproof and non-airtight building that you can put your gas-powered generator in, they're very hard to hide. Why that matters is if everything hits the fan, there are going to be people that are not prepared and the exact opposite of prepared, and they will go do anything to protect their family, and they'll be listening for people with generators. The other reason, there's usually less maintenance involved. There is no motors to fix if something happens, but also as long as you have sun, you have power. Now, this is a expandable system. That's one of the best parts about this, is the fact that normal systems, if you buy it, you are stuck with the built-in battery, and once that battery degrades over years, you are stuck ending up getting a whole new system. That and whatever time, say you have 40 hours of power with this or that, that is stuck, and it will actually degrade over time because all batteries do. So you're stuck with that amount of time, and that's it. If you want more power, then you've got to go get a second generator. With this, all of the batteries actually stack on top of each other. So you can add up to 96 batteries. Not only do they stack on top of each other, but you can actually connect them side to side. So essentially, this is expandable. As much power as you need, you could make a whole wall. And then also they have really clever mods. They actually have a box you can put in between or every other battery that allows you to actually plug and charge with more panels. So by stock, you can charge with 4 panels. If you get the mod, you can actually charge with 12, cutting your charge time in a third. So really amazing. It's also recommended you go and check out the quick charger. The quick charger can actually charge it in about 4.5 hours, full battery. Not only that, you can plug it into the wall. If you do not have solar panels, you can actually charge it. And then if your power does go out, you'll have a backup battery. Not only that, again, this is smart, so it understands what's charging it. You can charge it, again, with, say, the wall, a car, or even the sun. That's marfooglenews.com/energy. There is a small wait list, so you want to get on it as soon as possible. If you do want to get this sooner than later, use the code Marfoogle. Again, that is code Marfoogle at marfooglenews.com/energy with an I. Energy. I-N-E-R-G-Y. All right, and then we're going to talk about a few other things here, including Vladian TV warns Britain can be drowned in radioactive tsunami by single nuclear substrike. We have talked about this for years because a few years back when we first found out about the hypersonics and when Vlad did this press conference, before any of this went down, he said that he had a underwater nuke that could basically create a 300-foot wave. They are saying, and I don't know if it is correct, a 500 meter, which a meter is 3 feet, which would be a 1,500-foot wave. That is what this article says. But again, whether it's 300 feet or 1,500 feet, that would place basically almost everywhere in the UK underwater. Dex, this is pretty crazy stuff, but again, we think that this exists because the U.S. is believed to have a similar weapon. Obviously, maybe we had it first or we copied them. I don't know which one, but it looks like we have actually made this kind of device as well. It's not against physics or science to say that this doesn't exist.
Well, the one thing it's probably clear is I don't know that we've ever actually tested anything like this, because I think we would have seen it. Like, it would have been known somewhere in the world if we've tested creating 1,500-foot waves, obviously. But on paper, right, on the science behind it, behind, the technology and the power, what can be produced, and this is being delivered via, an underwater drone or submarine, however you want to refer to it, that, obviously moves really fast underwater, and then, lets off a massive, I want to say it's 100 megaton yield to produce that type of wave is on paper, it probably makes sense and it probably can happen. And, we've talked about it. We've been warned about it. We've heard, and this isn't new. It's not like the Bear has come out and said, oh, we have this now, kind of like they did with the hypersonics, where they've just developed in the last couple of years. We've talked about this for years. We've talked about them having it. They've talked about them having the capability. And I'm sure if they have it, then obviously we have it. We just don't talk about it, right? It's not something that we advertise, because it's not necessarily something that you would be practical in use, I guess, as a threat deterrent, any more so than just saying the word nuke. Right.
Think about that Navy map too.
Yeah.
The Navy map that shows a lot of us underwater, or the different the different continental layout, because everything is underwater. A lot of people have brought that up since this article came out.
Well, yeah, that definitely shows a view of a very different layout based on water levels being much higher. And, that, of course, that map is based on the ocean levels rising. So that, but you could easily look at that and say, okay, well, where would the water go if it was set off in, say, the Gulf of Mexico, or on the East Coast, or on the West Coast? How far, could 1,500 feet, 1,500-foot wave go through and into the country? Of course, it will drain back out over time, but it takes time, right? That's not something that just happens overnight. It goes pretty slow, especially something that big. It would be devastating. And
Well,
a country like the UK, it's an island, so it's just going to go right over the top of the island from one side to the other.
Well, you would think that that would affect everybody, and it would possibly affect Vlad too. I mean, I don't know. The whole concept of it is, why would they do that? Why is their government TV stuck on this every day? They have been talking about nuke, 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 nuke. This is all government approved. So that is why many people think it's just saber rattling. But like Dex and I have said many times, is, when does saber rattling turn into rattling? When does it stop? That's why many preppers look at this and say that the 0.01%, if it's the low as that, has gone up. Dex.
And Adam, if you want to grab, I put an article that came out today that we didn't find, that was from one of the viewers. I want to say it was Granny J. It's in Screener, if you want to pull that up. But it goes back to the point of what's going on with the Bear Country, and this is yet another event going on that is obviously going to, I guess rightfully so, be shrouded in secrecy. So we're going to have a lot of questions of what's going on here, and we'll never probably ever have answers to this story that Adam's about to bring up. But definitely something, and thank you, Granny J, for bringing that to our attention.
Yep, I'm going to put it on the screen right now. This is credit Granny J in chat, just brought this to our attention. Vlad launches secret military payload into orbit. Now, it says that Kremlin space chiefs have launched a secret military payload into orbit around the Earth using new Angara 1.2 rocket. The launch took place at the Plesetsk Cosmodrome in the town of Mirny in the northwest region of Arhangelsk Oblast on April 29th. Oh, that is freaky. It says a statement said that the space combat crew, that is odd, a combat crew, had launched the unidentified payload from the Ministry of Defense. So, and by the way, somebody said, well, why would they put this out on TV? It's said it's called fear-mongering. I guess that it would actually be an accurate way to use, fear-mongering. as far as how Russia is putting that out to scare people, to get them to agree, I guess. It's not for their people to be scared. It's more for their enemies to be scared, right? But I don't know. By definition, does that fit? As far as this goes, I would be more scared than the whole thing on TV. I would be more scared of this than any of the news we covered today, because this is very creepy. Anytime that they load up these top secret payloads, any one of these could be an actual FOBS or fractional orbital bombardment system. It could be a satellite, anti-satellite weapon that goes around and clamps all of our satellites out of the sky. It could be many things. I highly doubt that it's, flying up and it's going to project a picture of daisies. It kind of gets me that they called it a combat crew. What do you guys think about it, though? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your opinion about this. Dex, I missed this. Did you? We didn't cover this.
Yeah, no, we didn't cover it. And I'm on the same page with you. Whenever the military on any country like this is putting something up into space, obviously it's secret. You can go back to the old school and just say, yeah, it's just going to be, yet another spy satellite. But the way we have seen the what's happening up in orbit evolve with the countries and their adversaries against each other, especially around satellite technology, especially around the potential for EMPs. That's the first thing that comes to my mind now. It's less about, cameras that they can look at every inch of the earth, because they've already been able to do that. They can look pretty, with fine detail. I'm sure the other countries can do it just as well as we can, right? With, nice big lenses. That's a done deal. The next question is, what are they doing up there defensively or offensively, really, against other technology that may be in space or against other things that are down on Earth? So, like you said, an EMP could be sitting up there. We know they're already up there, right? But it could be yet another one that's sitting up there that's now just going to sit around in orbit waiting to be used at any moment. Or this could be, the next claw that's coming out and taking out our GPS systems or something like that, right?
Yeah, as far as it could be a hypersonic version of something they already have, or it could be, some sort of, I guess, unalive drone or something, a space drone or something. Who knows? But we'll follow it, and we will update if there is any information about this with the timing of it. Of course, now it is May 2nd. It is 2 days later. Some of the things, as we've covered, take a few days to set up. Are they creating or did they load this? Are they building something in space? We know that they just recently, just a few days ago, said that they were pulling out of the ISS project. They are no longer going to be on the ISS. If you want to find out more about that, make sure to go over to my Twitter, at Marfoogle on Twitter. That's at Marfoogle, MARFOOGLE. You can follow me over there for also notifications and other things there. All right, and then as far as that goes, let's see here. We have another, by the way, I should have put this with the other one. Fire damages another food processing plant in Northwest Fresno. Yet another. Says an investigation is underway to determine what sparked a fire at a food plant in Northwest Fresno. It broke out at the Saladino's plant on Shaw Avenue and Golden State Boulevard Sunday night. So lots and lots of these hot crispy situations. What do you think about them? Let me know in the comments down below. There is no wrong answer here. Smackin' Art Studio, thank you for the support over on PayPal. Gone Girl 777, thank you as well. Thank you for saying happy birthday, and thank you for the support over on PayPal. Ilea, you didn't have to do that. Thank you so much for your support. Again, make sure to thank our mods. They're doing stuff, so you definitely don't have to support like that, but I appreciate that. Kathy S., Rachel A., Linda P., Ruth S., LJP over the last week. Joyful Gigi, thank you, says happy birthday. Cynthia K., Lisa R., thank you so much. And Julia G., thank you. Mrs. M., everybody that is out there that has been here for years. I think I recognize every one of those as a 4-year veteran Foogle. So thank you so much. Also, honorable mentions, Survival Living. Thank you. Last month and this month's support, Carol M. We have Eddie K, Madco Group, Franco, David B, Jane O, and Amanda F. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, and then let's see here. Over in chat, lots of great people that have popped in. By the way, Dex, it's not showing me what are we at right now? Did we? How many people are watching on YouTube? Can you see that?
At the moment, we're at over 4,500.
Well, thank you, each and every one of you for coming today. I really do appreciate all of you. Let's see here. I do want to say thank you to Kimber. I appreciate your support today. And looks like we have Terry Quinn, back-to-back super stickers. Thank you. Deborah Garner, I appreciate your support. Victory, super sticker. Terry Quinn, again, thank you, thank you, and thank you. Simply Pony, Justin True. Again, so most of these folks have started channels. Justin True has been with us for like 4 years now. Thank you for staying neutral and always being just the same guy since I met you. Good work, brother. God bless you and your family. I pray for your health and the health of your family. I can't thank you enough for the years of great community and info. I would say the community is guaranteed the best part of this whole thing is the other people here. And then Irish Rebel says, no matter what, still not smart to poke the bear. Thank you, Irish. I agree. Let's see here. D. Broads says, supporting on behalf of Gone Girl 777. Thanks, Adam and Dex, for all the work you do. Gone Girl is out on her trike. She won't be back until after Sturgis. Oh, Sturgis is now. It's crazy because
August.
So what's crazy is like every time that rolls around, I just think it's just every year is going by faster and faster. Thanks for your work, Adam. I appreciate that. Caleb Brock, Nana of Montana. Again, thank you, and thank you. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by today. Dex, there is a ton of web-only content, and it's all crazy.
Yeah, so there's some massively major breaking news that's in our web-only content, and it's the first thing you're going to show right there. So if you don't know what's going on, head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, open up the description on YouTube, click on show notes. It'll take you right there. Scroll down to this web-only content. The first headline there is breaking tonight, and this is a leaked document of a draft from the Supreme Court on a massive decision that's extremely relevant and important to everybody, and it's probably one of the biggest decisions you think of when you think of the Supreme Court and what are the most controversial decisions. And they're talking about it being potentially, or not potentially, they're saying it's going to be overturned. It's such a big deal that within minutes of that being leaked by the original source, I want to say was Politico, they have now wrapped the Supreme Court with fencing, and they're expecting all sorts of stuff to happen. So you guys be prepared, pay attention to what's going on, no matter what side you are on with this type of news, but understand it's obviously a very divided situation across the country. So a lot of people are going to be upset if this is really coming out the way it looks like it is. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, and Adam, if you want to elaborate, feel free. But if you don't know what we're talking about, head over to marfooglenews.com, click on that thumbnail, scroll down. In addition to that, there's plenty of other news. Like we said, this is always the very sensitive or more right-leaning, left-leaning, too far to one side. So you can't really, cover it neutrally. So a lot of that stuff sort of falls into this camp. You'll find a lot of the political stuff going on, a lot of the updates. You can get updates on things like the CEO of Twitter and what, he said in his meeting, and also more updates on Elon and other stuff. But this one big event, I think, is the one you need to know about. And you're going to hear all about it tomorrow. I promise it's going to be the big thing in the headlines of every major news outlet.
It could be riots. It could be all sorts of stuff. This is very serious. This is closer to a lot of people than, I mean, no matter what side of this you're on, it's pretty crazy. So this is a big decision. It is one of the most quoted kind of, cases, period, and it is being overturned. So make sure to just keep your wits about you, keep your head on a swivel. Again, make sure to just have everything lined up because you never know what's going to happen. And then also over there, my Twitter is available. You just click on that icon right there, right under that story, and you will be brought to my Twitter. That is Marfoogle News Official at Marfoogle. And that is where I'll be posting some of the crazier stuff as well. The web-only content I'll sometimes post over there as well. So you'll get a stream of that stuff there as well as my humor and some of my crazy thoughts here. So, and then just to show you a highlight here. Again, thank you for everybody that has gone over. They said, by the way, this was kind of crazy. They showed the Lake Mead. And Lake Mead, it says with the lake level dropping at Lake Mead, bodies are showing up. This could get interesting. And it literally shows a barrel. I don't know exactly what this is, but I thought it looked like a cow. And yeah, it's pretty nuts. If that is a human, that would be very interesting. And then let's see here. There was this post, and a lot of people didn't get this joke. There was this, of course, inclusiveness training. This was nobody got this. I hope somebody got this. Nobody got that? I didn't. Anyways, you guys have a wonderful night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Thank you for being here in the chat. Love all of you. Over on D Live, the end is near. Thank you, Adam and Dex, for all you do. That Chowky Gal, Art Tate, Vicky K, The Saxon, Testify. Thank you for following. Joshua F. Ub, Seek 1106, 1977. Sue's Valhalla and the Arte. Bring it right back in the communique. The Julia 22, little one. Zippy Moons, Jam, man, Mr. Sun. Hey now, bring the Stacy Bomba. 74, everybody be on the bomba. Hey, Grand Illusion and everybody that's supported on D Live for the glory of Christ. Terry S and everybody that's nice. Like Jacob Israel, Global Witness, frustrated the squash. Hey, with the big T1, do it right down and Mr. C Dunn, son, Mimi, Lola Cafe, Simply Pony, KC Sunshine, Natty, oh no, bring it down, Tracy Underwood, Undy, hey, Debbie from Ohio, two old people on the couch, check engine light is on, surely no word, hey, Red Pill, Simply Pony, no back now, no phonies, Tony, Holy, and then Tommy Bird, Stephen McMahon, everybody can, do what they can, awakened believer, none of yours, Elizabeth Perverness and Trisha Ann. Everybody doing exactly what they can. Charlie Abercrombie's in the house. CJ Blaze. Make sure to go over to all of the mods channels. Bones in the house. Tritter B. Tina DeSantis. Jammer 1. Chance Paladin is an author. Make sure to go check out his books. Relevant Honda. Terry Quinn. Got this silly gargo and the Warren G. From to you to and from me. Priscilla R. Riz R. and the bar. Going right down Mystery Miss R. Bizarre. Oh, Dizarro. And the Bob White Color Michael Thompson and the lightning. Comes with fire. LB rules and oh, desire. Oh. Town 7 in the Kill McLean. Carry shout 12 in the Mono Bean. Heidi on the 12, killing it, willing it. Charlie Abercrombie in the feeling it. Hey, W-I-S Jam for the glory of Christ and all my Christians. Hey, with the major and kicking it with the what? Rip call readiness in the beat call. Sammy Hook and everybody hate ho. And the Trinity, red pill, blue pill. Hi ho, Kermit, don't fuck here. Niall Adamson, never wear a frown. In the presence of God, don't miss the shower. And Stacey R in the Simply Pony. Everybody go and take a shower, getting on it. Bob White, praise to the most high. Bring it right down, my malicious on the side. Charlie, Abercrombie, Lisa, R Hall. Everybody got Paul. Bring it right, with the number 1. Heidi on the 12, and I am done. Hot nah, with the both are in. Hot truck can't find it, so I figure it out. Bring it right back, and I bring it on down. A bestseller date, W.D. Davis, Y Major, and the Kathleen Bemis. Everybody hitting, hanging with Beavers. Hey. If you're a little confused what is happening right now, I say thank you to everybody in chat, the people that matter most, you. All music continues over on Marfoogle Jams. This music is made on the spot. I never claimed it was good. Got the Terrica home, I bring it on the song. Deep tech profit in the Mr. Doom. Hey, with the Carrie Quinn. Bring it back now, bring it on in. Falling on the ghost. When Zen, when AZ and the Pulse. Hey, when Robert Arias, bring it right down and I never silenced. With the Daryl Calhoun, everybody gonna go him soon. Hey, Malicious Lynn 60, and the rest is win. Hey, everybody on the gym, WJS and the Whitetail Sim. Hey, with the Comet Moon, everybody gonna head to him soon.